Welcome to Kent County Levy Court Business Meeting on Tuesday, April 25th, 2023 in the Levy Court Chambers, room 203. Before I officially open the meeting, I'll turn the meeting over to the County Administrator and he'll explain how those who would like to join us by phone and or WebEx can do so. Sir, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. This meeting is being offered in person at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, in room 203. We're also making it available for people to join us via the internet through WebEx. Participants can either join us by computer or by telephone throughout the course of the meeting. There will be opportunities for public comments from those attending in person or online at the designated times. For those joining us by phone, press star 3, which will raise your electronic hand so our operator can identify you and bring you into the meeting. Pressing star 6 will mute and unmute your line. If you're on a computer, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the hand and microphone icons, and we ask that you use those at the appropriate time. We also ask that all comments from our guests be preceded by stating your name and address for the record. Any comments taken during our public hearing testimony will be sworn by our attorney. This meeting is being recorded and will follow all the rules of procedure adopted by the Levy Court, as well as the Masons' Rules of Order. Mr. President, back to you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call the business meeting to order. And first, we'll have invocation by Commissioner Angel, Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Scott, moment of silence for our troops and first responders, Commissioner Sweeney. All rise, please.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight asking for guidance and wisdom as we make decisions that affect our community and our citizens. We ask for safe travels home this evening. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, first responders, and medical staff who have lost their lives in the line of duty protecting our lives or our way of life. Please remember these individuals who died in the line of duty, as well as keeping their families in your thoughts and prayers as they deal with the loss of their loved ones. Police Officer Trevor Abney from the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana. Investigator Patrick Hogan, New York State Police. Deputy Sheriff Josh Owen from Pope County Sheriff's Office in Minnesota. Reserve Corporal Joseph Johnson from the Nissa Police Department, Oregon. Fighter Tony Duvenvoorde from the Sussex Fire Department in New Jersey. Forester Cody Mullins from the Montgomery Fire Department in West Virginia. And Captain Roy Sewell from the North Tazewell Volunteer Fire Department in Tennessee. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweeney. Ms. Tanaka, can we have roll call and determination of quorum, please?
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Here.
Mrs. Maston?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Present.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. We do have quorum this evening. Need a motion for the adoption of this evening's agenda, and I believe Commissioner Angel has an amendment.
Yes, in addition, under me for Mr. Hall for Board of Adjustment on number 4, Mr. President.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston with an amendment in addition to the agenda. Any questions? I don't see any. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. This evening's agenda has been adopted. I need approval of Levy Court meeting minutes of Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. That's been provided to you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, a second by Commissioner Maston to approve. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Levy Court meeting minutes of Tuesday, April 4th, 2023 has been approved. We have 3 presentations this evening. First one is Resolution 3989, declaring April 30th through May 7th, 2023 as Soil and Water Stewardship Week in Kent County, Delaware. Can we have that read into the record, Mr. Naka?
Whereas healthy, fertile soil and clean water is the lifeblood of nutrition and sustenance throughout the world, and soil conservation is a benefit to everyone. And whereas effective conservation practices ensure soil, water, animals, plants, and air can provide a rich standard of living. And whereas our survival and continued production and access to quality food and water depends upon the robust management of diverse natural resources nationwide. And whereas stewardship calls upon every individual to help conserve these precious resources to ensure their prosperity for generations to come. Now therefore be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court hereby declares the week of April 30 through May 7, 2023 as Soil and Water Stewardship Week in Kent County, Delaware. Be it further resolved that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the April 25th, 2023 meeting of the Kent County Levy Court.
Thank you. This is a resolution, so we do need a motion and a second.
Move to approve Resolution 3989, Mr. President.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 3989. Any questions before we take a roll call vote? Seeing none, Mr. Naka, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals. Resolution 3989 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. And I see Mr. Bruce Snow is here in the audience. He's a supervisor at Kent Conservation District. I believe he's here to receive this from Levy Court. If we can all meet him down front. Long time no see. 24 hours. This is something that we do every year in Kent County to recognize Soil and Water Stewardship Week. And once again, it's our honor to do that again. And later on in May, the governor will be at the Soil and Water Stewardship Week presentation to all those that have done an outstanding job in protecting our environment over the past year. So, Bruce, thank you for being here tonight to accept this, and let the commissioner say a few words and let you say a couple words.
Well, at least we get to see you once in a while, Bruce. I'm glad to see that. I kind of miss being on that committee, but I got a good partner here that takes over for me. But thank you very much for what you and your committee do. It's vital that we have a program like this in place in Stewart's that help us keep things on track. Thank you.
Congratulations, Bruce. It's great to see you here at Levy Court for this. Thank you.
Bruce, congratulations and thank you for what you're doing.
Bruce, thanks for being here. I don't think people realize exactly what you guys do until you need to get in there and do it. So please extend our thanks and grateful wishes to everybody back at the office.
Congratulations. Thanks for coming.
Congratulations. We look forward to seeing the Conservation District represented next month to come in and talk about more of what you do.
Bruce, say a couple words.
Yeah. I'm just here representing the Conservation District, and we appreciate all the support that we get from Levy Court to keep our soil and water the best we can and improve it whenever possible.
Great. You want to get a picture here? Light? Yeah. Was that putting a blue halo over my head?
No, mine.
Oh, yours? Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Okay, while we're still up here, the next item on the agenda is Resolution 3991, which is Kent County Business Week. And Mr. Naka, can we have that read into the official minutes, please?
Whereas the success of a business invariably depends upon its representation in the community it serves, and the reputation is nearly always the result of a strong company leader. And whereas the Central Delaware Chamber of Commerce engages in activities to assist the business community and each year nominates business persons, companies, as examples of the quality of the businesses in Central Delaware. And whereas this year, the Central Delaware Chamber of Commerce has nominated the following individuals, companies, as outstanding business persons or companies. Small business, under the category of Small Business of the Year, we have Presley Ridge, Sambo's Tavern, The Ice House, Wellness Plus Community. Under Large Employer of the Year, we have Bally's Dover Casino Resort, Kraft Heinz Company, Polytech Adult Education. And under Young Professional of the Year, we have Stephen Burgess, Ryan Johnson, and Lauren Webb. Now therefore be it resolved that Kent County, Delaware does hereby proclaim the week of April 30 through May 6, 2023 as Kent County Business Week. Be it further resolved that this resolution be adopted this 25th day of April 2023 and is hereby incorporated into the official minutes of the Kent County Levy Court.
Thank you. This is a resolution 3991. We do need a motion and a second to approve it.
Move to approve. Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Angel. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please, on resolution 3991?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston? Yes. Mr. Scott? Yes. Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. I believe it's next week, the governor will host the Small Business Large Employer of the Year, the Young Professional of the Year in the governor's office at Legislative Hall. And this is what he does every year. And at that point, who are one of the 3 for Small Business of the Year, one of the 3 Large Employer of the Year, and one of the 3 Young Professionals of the Year will be honored with that award. So we always attend that presentation by the governor and present this resolution along with his award to them. So with that being said, Resolution 3991 will be presented in the governor's office matter of fact, we present it to all of the people that are on this resolution, and so they'll have a copy for their wall or whatever. So with the motion and the approval, I believe that's it. I don't think there's anyone here to represent the small businesses, so I believe that'll be done next week in the governor's office. So with that being said, go to the back. We can do employee. I don't believe, is Employee of the Month here tonight now? Okay, well, let's do it while we're right here anyhow. You got her? Yeah. Lori's got it. Lori, can you read the Employee of the Month for us into the record?
Kent County Department heads have selected Karen K. McGonigal from the Finance Department as the May 2023 Employee of the Month. Karen is an account analyst in the tax office and originally started with Kent County in 1989 as an account clerk 3. After serving for 16 years, she left to raise a family until returning on August 24, 2020 as an account specialist 3. Since then, Karen has been promoted twice to her current supervisory position. Her primary duties include managing and coordinating the daily tax office processes and staff, administering tax account adjustments, preparing quarterly and annual tax billing, and assisting with customer requests and inquiries. Karen's ability to thoroughly research account information on multiple software systems for the county's monthly tax reconciliation is one of her numerous strengths. Karen is highly regarded by her coworkers and possesses a wealth of financial knowledge, which she shares on a daily basis. She skillfully handles the most difficult of taxpayers and puts everyone at ease with her quiet demeanor. According to Finance Director Susan Durham, Karen's exceptional attention to the detail and understanding of the tax processes has proven to be a great addition to the office. Her previous financial experience, willingness to learn new methods, and ability to excel enhances the level of customer service provided to the constituents of the county. Congratulations, Karen, on a job well done, and she resides in Commissioners Hertz and Pepper's district. And the tribute reads, Kent County Levy Court, May 2023, Employee of the Month, Karen K. McGonigal. On this, the 25th day of April 2023, the Levy Court of Kent County, State of Delaware, does hereby recognize Karen K. McGonigal, Account Analyst, Department of Finance, Tax Office, for her exceptional initiative, dedication, and conscientiousness in the delivery of services to the citizenry of the county.
Thank you. Karen was nominated and chosen for this position through her peers and the Levy Court family, so we don't have to do a motion on this. But for those of you that are new to family court or Levy Court, every month we recognize Employee of the Month. And then at the end of the year, they have the opportunity to become the Employee of the Year, and they receive a little bonus because of that, and additional vacation day. So Karen will be amongst the 12 that will be decided on at the end of the year. So with that being said, congratulations, Karen, and good luck. And with that, we can all go back to our seats and begin the meeting. Okay, at this time, we will begin our public hearings part of the Levy Court meeting. The first item on the agenda, petitions to amend comprehensive plan map and zoning map. This falls under Commissioner Sweeney. It's ordinance LC 23-03. Open the public hearing. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Kiefer is up and ready to go. Thanks, Ms. Kiefer.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. First, a word about how tonight's hearings will be conducted. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications and ordinances before the Levy Court. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are to be made at the front of the room. Alternatively, if you're participating online, please follow the instructions for how to participate after the hearing. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. For each application before the Levy Court, the President will introduce the application. Then the Levy Court will receive testimony from all of those in favor. Testimony will then be received from those who may be opposed. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on the application will be closed, and the Levy Court will take what action it deems appropriate. Levy Court's decision will be based upon public hearing testimony given at this meeting and a recommendation submitted to the Levy Court by the Regional Planning Commission. I would ask that that recommendation be included by reference in the permanent record of the meeting established by the Clerk of the Peace. The public notice of this hearing was published in the April 7th, 2023 edition of the Delaware State News. The first application before the Commission tonight, Ordinance LC 2303, is an ordinance to change the zoning map and comprehensive plan map. The site in question is just under an acre between South DuPont Highway and Canterbury Road, east of Viola. The site is currently zoned AR, Agricultural Residential, and is proposed to be zoned BG General Business. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony on this at their April 6th hearing, and at their April 13th business meeting voted unanimously to recommend approval, citing the fact that the application, the proposed zoning, is indeed in keeping with the character of the area. Again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Don't see any. Thank you. Mark, can you turn the volume up? How about that? Thank you, Mark. At this time, we'll continue on with the meeting. Okay, this is a public hearing, so at this time, we'll open that public hearing. And I'll ask anyone that is in the audience that is in favor of this ordinance LC 23-03 to please come forward and state why you are in favor of it. Anyone in favor, please come forward at this time. Please state your name and address and be sworn or affirmed unless you are an attorney.
Good evening. My name is Tom Frustorfer. I'm with KCI Technologies in Newark, Delaware, representing 2 farms.
Okay.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Proceed.
Sir, excuse me, could you spell your name for me, please?
This is FRUEHSTORFER.
Thank you.
We're here this evening to request a rezoning and a comprehensive plan map amendment for 9973 and 9985 Canterbury Road, north of Felton, Delaware. The 2 parcels are shown here circled in red between South DuPont Highway and Canterbury Road. You'll notice in this aerial depiction that there is a trailer sales business to the north and west of the properties and a retail business to the south. The circled parcels are currently zoned agriculture residential, and this request is to change them to business general to match the zoning of the neighboring properties. Along with the zoning change, this request is to change a comprehensive plan map designation of these properties to highway commercial to reflect the new zoning and to match the neighboring properties. I'd like to point out there's no development proposed with this zoning change. The only thing changing is the zoning and comprehensive plan map designation. I'd like to point out the standard of review for Kent County map amendment and zoning change. Chapter 25 of the Kent County Code includes 4 standards that should be met to grant a zoning change. These standards relate to 1, a change in the character of the neighborhood, 2, consistency between the zoning and the land use, 3, adequate facility to serve the proposed use, and 4, compatibility of the property as rezoned to the surrounding land uses. We'll look at each of these individually, but we'll start with 1. The character of this neighborhood has changed to the extent that the zoning should be changed. The next diagram should help make this clear. In 1992, the parcels had farm fields to the northwest and the south. By 2003, you can see the areas to the north and the west have changed to a commercial use. And by 2022, the aerial view of the property shows that a trailer sales business borders these residential parcels to the north and the west. Also to the south, there's a retail sales business that used to be a bank. These residential properties are now bordered by commercial uses on 3 sides. Additionally, when looking at a zoning map of the area, it can be observed that properties to the southeast of the existing residential properties are zoned business neighborhood. They are shown here in pink. With the current zoning of the neighboring properties, it is clear that the character of the neighborhood has changed and these properties should be rezoned. The next 2 standards relate to consistency between the zoning and comprehensive plan in relation to land use and intensity of non-residential buildings, along with having adequate facilities to serve the proposed uses. First, this figure from the Kent County Comprehensive Plan shows the subject parcels are located within the Kent County Growth Zone. This is an area in which the comp plan expects to see growth. The Kent County Comprehensive Plan also shows the neighboring properties in red with a highway commercial map designation. The subject sites are shown here in green. It certainly seems appropriate to change the final 2 low-density residential parcels in this area to match the rest of the parcels. Additionally, no changes to these properties are being proposed at this time, so the intensity of the development is not changing, and the demand for public facilities is not changing. Any number of commercial uses allowed in the BG zoning district, such as beauty shops, business offices, and professional offices, could be appropriate for these parcels with minimal modifications and no change in demand for public facilities. If land development changes are proposed in the future, the owner would be responsible for showing there are adequate facilities for the proposed changes. So the zoning and comprehensive plan are consistent with the proposed land uses, and there are adequate facilities to serve the proposed uses. Next is the compatibility of the rezoned properties to the surrounding land use. This aerial view of the property shows commercial uses around more than 75% of the perimeter. The proposed business general zoning is certainly compatible with the existing neighboring commercial properties. The application satisfies the applicable Kent County standard of review for a rezoning application because the proposed rezoning is consistent with the character of the neighborhood. The proposed rezoning is or will be consistent with the Kent County Comprehensive Plan. There are adequate infrastructure facilities available to serve the proposed rezoning, and the proposed rezoning is compatible with the surrounding land uses. Next, to address the state standards, in July 2020, Governor John Carney authorized the 2020 Delaware Strategies for State Policies and Spending. These strategies identify the state's goals and policies for land use, infrastructure investment, and other priorities. This rezoning should be consistent with state strategies in order to be approved. The plan was subject to a plus review, which confirmed that it does meet state strategies. The plus review was in December of 2022, and these are a few quotes from the resulting plus letter. The majority of the land area of the two parcels proposed for rezoning is located in a level 2 investment area and is therefore consistent with the 2020 strategies for state policies and spending. Investment level 2 reflects areas where growth is anticipated by local, county, and state plans in the near-term future. And development in level 2 is consistent with the 2020 strategies for state policies and spending. Therefore, the Office of State Planning Coordination has no objection to this rezoning. Therefore, because it will be consistent with the Kent County Comprehensive Plan and state strategies, and in order to provide conformity and consistency among the neighboring parcels, zoning of the parcels should be changed from AR to BG, and the comprehensive plan map designation should be changed from low-density residential to highway commercial. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Any questions from the commissioners? I don't see any. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This time, anyone else in Levy Court Chambers in favor of this application, please come forward. Anyone else in favor? Mark, anyone on the phone or WebEx?
If there's anyone joining us online who would like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate by raising an electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask anyone in Levy Court Chambers that is opposed to ordinance LC 23-03, please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Mark, do we have anyone?
Similarly, if you're online and you would like to speak in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising an electronic hand. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Before I close the public hearing, do any of the commissioners have any questions before I close? Any questions of staff or anybody? All right. At this time, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll turn ordinance LC 23-03 over to Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve ordinance LC 2303, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map designation and the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware pursuant to the provisions of Kent County Code Volume 2, Chapter 205 Zoning, Article 3, Section 205-8 and Section 205-9, and Article 28, changes amendments effective December 1st, 2000, per application LC 2303, CZ 2302, based on no public opposition, the unanimous recommendation for approval from the Regional Planning Committee, staff recommendation for approval, the change is consistent with our comprehensive plan, which was just recently passed, and also consistent with surrounding parcels.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sweeney made a motion to approve, and that was seconded by Commissioner Maston. Does anyone have a question on the motion? I don't see any, and I also do not see Mr. Tanaka. So, Mr. County Administrator, would you take the vote, please?
I'm not sure what in order we'll do this, but we'll start with Commissioner Hertz.
As per RPC, yes.
Commissioner Sweeney,
Yes, per my motion.
Commissioner Angel,
Yes, per Commissioner Sweeney and RPC approval, yes.
Commissioner Maston,
Yes, reason stated.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes, reason stated.
Commissioner Pepper.
Yes, for all reasons stated, and it just makes sense. They were sort of an island of zoning there, and it just makes it consistent with everything around it. So yes.
The vote reveals 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals that ordinance LC 23-03 has been approved by Levy Court. We'll continue on to our next ordinance, LC 23-05. Commissioner Maston, I'll turn it over to you.
Ordinance LC 2305, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map designation and the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware pursuant to the provisions of Kent County Code, Volume 2, Chapter 205 zoning, Article 3, Section 205-8 and Section 205-9, and Article 28, changes and amendments effective December 1st, 2000 as amended. Reference application number CZ 2303 K Temple. Applicant and owner Anthony Lipinski / K Temple LLC. Proposed zoning district RMH residential manufactured home. Area and location ID number east of South DuPont Boulevard, approximately 39,100 miles north of Twin Willows Road and approximately 2,400 miles south of West Big Woods Road, east of Smyrna /DC-00-028.00-02-43.01-000. Mrs. Kiefer?
Thank you, Commissioner. Ordinance LC 2305 indeed is an amendment to the zoning map and the comprehensive plan map. The site is currently zoned BN, neighborhood business. The proposal is to rezone to RMH, residential manufactured home. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony on this ordinance at their April 6th hearing, and at their April 13th business meeting voted unanimously to recommend approval, citing that the proposal indeed comports with the comprehensive plan and the proposal is in keeping with the character of the surrounding area. So again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Any questions? Don't see any. Thank you. At this time, we'll open the public hearing on ordinance LC 23-05, and I'll ask anyone in the audience that is here in favor of this ordinance to please come forward and offer testimony as to why it should be approved. Ordinance LC 23-05. Anyone in the audience, please come forward.
You want me to give you my name and address? All right, my name is Anthony Lipinski. I'm just the one that did that. 254 Sofers Road, Magnolia, Delaware. Is my address.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. So in reference to this property here, the house next door to it that is zoned BN is a residence. It's a residence there as well. And it was just sold with an FHA loan. So it is conforming to residence even though it's zoned BN. So I was just changing the lot next door to it to be zoned in to be a residence as well to conform to the 3 houses there. We have plans to put a single family home there. We're building a stick-built 1,500 square foot rancher is the plan. I think they would go well there. That's all I've got for you.
Any questions for Mr. Lipinski? Any questions? Thank you, sir.
All right, cool.
Anyone else in the audience in favor? Anyone in favor? Mark, how about on phone or WebEx?
If you're joining us online and you would like to speak in favor of application LC 2305, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. See no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll give equal opportunity to anyone in the audience that is opposed to this ordinance LC 23-05. Please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Don't see anyone. Anyone online or on the phone?
If you're joining us online and you would like to speak in opposition to LC 2305, please indicate by raising an electronic hand at this time. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions before I close the public hearing? Any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, at this time, we'll close the public hearing. Turn this over to Commissioner Maston for a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance LC 2305, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map designation and the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware, pursuant to the provisions of Kent County Code Volume 2, Chapter 205 Zoning, Article 3, Section 205-8 and Section 205-9, and Article 28, Changes and Amendments effective December 1st, 2000 as amended. Also, there's no opposition from the participants, approved by the Regional Planning Commission and staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Masson, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve LC 23-05. Any questions on the motion from the commissioners? Seeing none, Mr. Naka, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reasons stated by Commissioners Maston.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes, per staff recommendations.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated in my motion.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, reasons stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 23-05 has been approved by Levy Court. Okay, this time we'll move on to Kent County ordinances. Ordinance LC 23-04 zoning. Commissioners Angel and Maston, which one's going to handle this?
Ordinance LC 2304 zoning, an ordinance to amend Kent County Code Volume 2, Chapter 205, zoning as amended by revising Article 2, definitions, Article 3, districts and district maps, Article 4, general provisions, Article 26A, supplementary regulations, Article 29, administration and enforcement, Article 30, legal status and effective date, and Appendix E, building height and roof styles to delete the definition of cellar and basement graphic, deleting in their entirety Article 5, AC, Agriculture Conservation District, Article 6, AR, Agriculture Residential District, Article 7, RS1, Single Family Residential District, Article 8, RS5, Medium Density Residential District, Article 9, RM, Multifamily Residential District, Article 10, RMH, Residential Manufactured Home District, Article 11, BN, Neighborhood Business District, Article 12, BN1, Neighborhood Business District, Article 13, BG, General Business District, Article 13A, OC Office Complex District, Article 14, IL Limited Industrial District, Article 15, IG General District, Article 21, Conditional Uses, Article 22, Home Occupations, Article 23, Emergency Provisions, Attachment 1, Matrix AC, Attachment 2, Matrix AR, Attachment 3, Commercial Attachment 4, Matrix RM, Attachment 5, Matrix RMH, Attachment 6, RS1, Attachment 7, Figure 6-1, Attachment 15, Appendix H, and adding a new Article 5, Permitted Uses, Article 6, Conditions of Approval, and Article 7, Area and Bulk Requirements, to reorganize the chapter, eliminate the BN1 zoning district, delete the Coastal Zone Protection Overlay, establish revised permitted and conditional uses, revise the conditions of approval for various uses, and establish new and revised area and bulk regulations. Details of this ordinance can be found at county.kent.de/planning-department/planning.aspx. Mrs. Kiefer?
Thank you, Commissioner Maston. The goal of this ordinance, LC 2304, was first and foremost to modernize the ordinance, particularly modernize the uses, tie them to standard industrial classifications, increase the usability. That was the reorganization of the existing provisions to make it easier to use the document. Identify some things that we've seen a lot of variances for and we were trying to address, and then fix some inconsistencies that existed in the document. With respect to uses, what we did was consolidate all of the uses into one table, so it's all in one place, and then provide descriptions of each of those uses to make it easier to classify a proposed use. And on the screen is just an example for every use within every zoning district. It's permitted with conditions, a conditional use with site plan, or permitted with conditions with some additional review. If that box in the table is vacant, the use is simply not permitted. We also updated and consolidated all of the area and bulk regulations, things like minimum lot size, setbacks, etc. Within the growth zone in particular, we liberalized a number of the regulations, most notably impervious cover and setbacks. We removed the 75-foot front setback that was uniform along major roads. And again, in the non-residential district, reduced setbacks slightly and increased impervious cover so it was uniform. Since we were last before the Levy Court, Max Walton, an attorney who's done some work with the county before, agreed to review the ordinance for us, and his review resulted in 4 amendments that were also reviewed by the Planning Commission. The first one simply editorial, making it clear that it's Kent County's regulations that would govern. The second one is updating the definition of billboards, off-premise advertising. The more substantial one, the first draft of the ordinance allowed for the Planning Commission and/or Levy Court to waive conditions of approval. There were some concerns administratively with that and with the difference between ministerial applications and quasi-judicial. So when I brought it to Max to review, he suggested it would be better for those variances to go to the Board of Adjustment. So Amendment 3 does that, changes the language so it would go to the board. And then finally, the last one, Max had requested some additional language to add clarification that parcels within the growth zone overlay district are indeed treated differently than parcels outside of the growth zone overlay district. The Planning Commission recommended approval unanimously of the ordinance and those 4 amendments. At the Planning Commission, there was a question about pets. You'll recall that the current ordinance, as enacted, allows 4 domestic animals. The ordinance as proposed also allows 4. That did not change. What is added to this ordinance had to do with what's commonly referred to as backyard chickens. What this ordinance suggests, or what it proposes, is a limit of 5 and a minimum parcel size of 15,000 square feet. The Planning Commission, after they reviewed it, suggested or agreed upon an Amendment 5 that would increase the minimum number of poultry to 25 and a blanket prohibition on within major subdivisions. I would simply caution that major subdivisions in Kent County are anything that is not a minor subdivision. So this amendment, I think, would be much farther reaching than perhaps was envisioned when it was proposed. But again, the ordinance as a whole comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Any questions? Don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is an ordinance, LC 23-04, zoning ordinance. I'll ask anyone who is in the audience that may be in favor of this to please come forward and offer testimony as to why.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the Levy Court. For the record, my name is John Pardee. I'm a local attorney with the law firm Baird, Mendalis, Brockstedt, Federico, and Cardia. It took me a while to learn how to say that fast. But thank you for the opportunity to comment, and welcome to Levy Court Commissioners Robert Scott and Paul Hertz. This is my first time appearing before you, and I want to congratulate you on your election. This is an august body, and you will certainly add to that, and appreciate you volunteering your service, so thank you. And also welcome to the new county administrator. I haven't had a chance to meet with him, but I've heard nothing but great things. So it sounds like a terrific hire. He does have big shoes to fill. But in any event, I just want to say thank you to the staff and Sarah Kiefer in particular. I know they've worked very hard and for a long time on this ordinance, and they've been very open and receptive to comments from members of the community, including myself and Mr. Ryman, who are here, who do a lot of work with the county and have had varied experiences with the existing zoning ordinance. Some of you may not know that I was a Levy Court attorney from 1995 to 2000, and actually had to wrestle with the ordinance from time to time and try to interpret it and help the Levy Court apply it. And it wasn't always easy. It was not the most artfully drafted thing, but Sarah and her team have done a great job in modernizing the language. It's much easier to read and understand and apply, and I think it's a huge improvement. Not that what you had before was really bad, because I did have a hand in writing some pieces of it, but this is a much more comprehensive and easy to apply ordinance, and so I would heartily recommend your favorable consideration, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions, Mr. Pardee? Anyone have any questions? Thanks, sir. Anyone else in the audience that is in favor of this ordinance, please come forward. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mike Ryman, 309 South Governors Avenue, here on behalf of the Builders and Remodelers Association of Delaware. I wanted John to go first because he's much more articulate than I am. And
Mr. Ryman, excuse me, do you swear or affirm tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
He's much more articulate than I am, and I can just carry his comments forward into the record. No, we have appreciated the staff's hard work on this and reaching out to our organization for feedback and comments, and they've been very open and willing to work with us, and we greatly appreciate that. We think the changes will bring a lot of clarity to the code that I think, as John had suggested, has been missing for some time, and particularly the addition of the permitted with conditions and moving some of the conditional uses into the permitted with conditions should make for a much more efficient land use process. I think that's a major improvement. Some focus on the mixed use provisions are big. I think that is something that needs some strong consideration going forward as it relates to the housing crisis that we are dealing with. I think we all understand that there is a significant housing crisis in the nation, also in Delaware, and we need to have opportunities for redevelopment, mixed use, which are much needed. So we are here in support. We thank you for doing this, and be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions commissioners may have for Mr. Ryman? Any questions? Don't see any. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience that may be in favor of this ordinance, please come forward. Anyone in the audience in favor? Not seeing anyone at the moment. Can we check see if anyone's on the phone or WebEx?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of the ordinance, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. See no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll ask the audience, if anyone in the audience is opposed to ordinance LC 23-04, please come forward and state why you are opposed. Anyone in the audience that is opposed to ordinance LC 23-04, please come forward. Anyone in the audience opposed? Not seeing anyone. Anyone on phone or WebEx?
If you're joining us online and you would like to speak in opposition to the ordinance, please indicate by raising electronic hand at this time. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Before I close the public hearing, any of the commissioners have any questions of staff before we take a vote?
I move to approve ordinance LC 20 zoning, including Amendment 1, clarifying the roadside stands must comply with Kent County's area, bulk, and parking regulations. Amendment 2, clarifying the definitions of billboards. Amendment 3, removing language giving the Regional Planning Commission and Levy Court the ability to waive conditions for conditional use applications. And Amendment 4, clarifying the distinction between zoning districts inside of the growth zone overlay district and those outside. This is based on Exhibit A, memorandum from staff dated March 28, 2023. Exhibit B, public hearing testimony dated April 6, 2023. Exhibit C, memorandum from staff dated April 5, 2023. The April 13, 2023 Regional Planning Commission recommendations and the findings of facts that A, the ordinance reorganizes and simplifies Chapter 205 to make it easier use for the public and staff. B, the ordinance modernizes use categories. C, the ordinance will make it easier to do business in the county. Also, this comes with a recommendation from the Regional Planning Commission as well as staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Maston. Commissioner Maston. Motion to approve by Commissioner Maston, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Any questions on the motion? I don't see any. Ms. Tanaka, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reasons stated by Commissioner Maston.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reasons stated per my motion.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, reasons stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per Commissioner Maston's motion.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, per Commissioner Maston's motion.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 23-4 zoning has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. And before we conclude, I'd like to recognize Chairman Bill Jester in the audience, who's the chairman of the Regional Planning Commission. I'd like to thank Commissioner Jester for all the hard work that you put into this. And matter of fact, I believe it was the first and only time the Regional Planning Commission and Levy Court got together and had a workshop to discuss this line by line. And I thank you for all your efforts on that. Yes. Thank you, sir. Okay, the ordinance LC 23-04 has been approved by Levy Court. And next item on the agenda, Commissioner Hertz, ordinance LC 23-06, swimming pool barriers.
All right, and I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ordinance LC 2306 very simply removes a current exemption from our existing building code. The building code now permits for swimming pools, in lieu of installing a fence, you may install an automatic pool cover. Concerns were expressed that that did not meet adequate safety requirements, so this ordinance simply removes that exemption. If someone installs a pool, they will have to also install a fence. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Ms. Kiefer? I have just one. There are a few of these out there without fences. Are they grandfathered?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay. Ordinance LC 2306, swimming pool barriers. This is an ordinance, so it is a public hearing. I'll ask anyone in the audience that is in favor of this ordinance to please come forward. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Anyone in favor? Seeing none. Mark, on phone, WebEx.
If you're joining us online and you would like to speak in favor of ordinance LC 2306, please indicate by raising an electronic hand. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, anyone opposed to LC 2306? Anyone opposed that may be in the audience, please come forward and state why. Anyone opposed to ordinance LC 23-06? Seeing no one on the phone?
If you're joining us online and you would like to speak in opposition to ordinance LC 2306, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners of staff or anyone before we close the public hearing? Any questions? I don't see any. At this time, we'll close the public hearing on LC 23-06. Turn it over to Commissioner Hertz for a motion, please.
All right, I'd like to get a motion to approve ordinance LC 2306, swimming pool barriers, and ordinance to amend Kent County Code, Volume 2, Chapter 105, building construction, as amended by revising Article 1, General Provisions, 105-1, General Provisions, Applicable Regulations, Item D, swimming pools and spas in order to prohibit the use of powered safety covers in lieu of fencing as a safety barrier, restricting entry into areas having swimming pools. Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Masson to approve ordinance LC 23-06. Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Naka, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel? Mr. Angel?
I'm still thinking. Yes, as per Mr. Hertz's comments.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, these can be a very handy item to have on your pool. However, much like having a fence without a gate on it, this gives the opportunity for someone, a small child, to get in if the pool cover is not closed and it's not set on automatic to close automatically. So, yes, ordinance LC 23-06.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Your roll call reveals ordinance LC 23-06 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. That closes our public hearings for this evening. We have no old business, we have new business. Commissioner Angel, turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Cuela, premium pay.
Thank you, Mr. Angel, Commissioners. Last month, Levy Court approved allocated funding for employee premium pay, and this is for employees who worked between March 22nd and May the 31st, 2020, when the building was closed. Some employees have received some payment for those hours, some additional payment, but a large number of employees did not. It's about 160 employees, and this would provide them $13 an hour for each hour worked. And as part of the process, staff has begun to review all of the hours worked to their timesheets and other records to confirm those numbers and develop some rules and procedures which are before you tonight to formally approve. If approved, our intention is to dispense or encumber and disperse these funds before the new fiscal year starts. Back to you, Chairman Angel.
Any questions? Commissioner Sweeney?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Quill, is anybody going to be significantly impacted by an increase or move into a higher tax bracket for that pay period? If they are, will they be given the opportunity for a one-time adjustment?
So we really haven't analyzed that. We're fairly early in the year, so it's hard to say, especially if you intend to work a lot of overtime for the rest of the year.
Any other questions?
Mr. President?
I'd just like to make a clarification. This premium pay is to cover employees that worked when the other employees worked at home. These employees came into work during COVID.
Yes, sir. You had to be physically present. You cannot work from home. That's very specific in the ARPA rules and regulations. So this is just for those essential employees who came in and were exposed to COVID by either working next to other employees who were potentially exposed and or handled documents which could be handled by or were handled by potentially exposed individuals.
Mr. Quayla, on the diagram of the suggested motion, do I need to read the essential, hourly, or just the totals for all the above?
You just need to read the words above, yes.
Any other
Scott,
questions?
Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Yes,
Scott.
Mr. Quayle, I just want to confirm, I've seen it on here where the retirees were not considered on that, I guess, under the ARPA law. Am I correct by stating that?
So what we have done is we've planning to make this effective if you adopt these rules as drafted just for employees that are here as of the day the procedures are adopted. For a lot of reasons, we've had terminated employees, retired employees, unfortunately even a couple of employees have passed away, that obviously we don't know anything about them. Do they still live where they live? We don't necessarily know where to send their W-2s. Lots of different reasons why it's important to take care of the situation now for who we know, and we know they can receive the funds.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I move to authorize payment of county employee premium pay to certain eligible employees in the county's ARPA General SLFRF funds, and further approve the county ARPA premium pay rules and disbursement procedures as presented.
Second.
Thank you. The motion was made by Commissioner Angel to approve, second by Commissioner Maston. Does any of the commissioners have any questions? Okay. At this time, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed on the ARPA funding. Item number 2, Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Quayle?
Thank you, Commissioner. Also, since last month, there's been a lot of discussion by commissioners about your recent prioritization of ARPA funding and the ease of administration. And a real concern that all funds need to be expended before the 2026 deadline. So staff has prepared a recommendation to the commissioners that we hope that will address that. In particular, we've had a number of nonprofits that have struggled with complying with all of the federal procurement rules. And it is a process the county is very familiar with. So the finance director and county administrator are suggesting that some of the allocations be reallocated, reprioritized, moved from the SLFRF fund down to the revenue loss fund for ease of administration purposes. We believe this will take care of that. Will also allow you to commit some funds to some nonprofits who may have gotten ahead of themselves in the process. It also moves the county's HVAC improvements program down to revenue loss, along with food bank and those certain nonprofit applicants. Moved up to the SLFRF allocation funds, which totals $25 million. You would be moving the new paramedic substation along with the mobile emergency command center and reallocating some of the funds that are saved from the former nonprofit program or the reduced nonprofit program into perhaps an allocation to some wastewater projects. So that is what staff's recommendation is. It also allows staff to adjust these spending priorities as we get, especially as we get closer to the final spend, which will be in 2026. Commissioners will still have to formally approve and agree to all the contracts related to that the county's spend will be, particularly on the new paramedic substation, the mobile command center, much as you just did for the premium pay allocation. Back to you, Commissioner Angel.
Any questions for Mr. Quayle? Seeing none, I move to adjust Kent County ARPA funding priorities and reallocate certain eligible funding commitments for ease of administration, and further authorize staff to enter into grant agreements for compliance with federal and county rules and make necessary funds adjustments within commitments and between the two programs' fundings sources, SLFRF and revenue losses, as needed to ensure funds are expended within federally required timeframes as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions on the motion? I don't see any. Mr. Naka, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll calls reveals the motion passed. Item number 3, Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Quayle, third one.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Angel. So obviously the motion you just passed would normally take care of food bank. As you saw, it was moved from the SLFRF fund down to the revenue loss fund. But when Levy Court approved that project way back in December, that $1 million grant, it had some very specific timelines and allocations which will not fit under the new format. So what this motion would do is basically formalize that movement of the $1 million grant down to the revenue loss, remove all of those construction milestones that you had imposed earlier, since it wouldn't necessarily be used for construction, while it could be though, and it would also provide for a grant agreement, which was similar to what you just approved in that last motion. Back to you, Commissioner Angel.
Any questions for Mr. Quayle? Seeing none, I move to amend the December 6, 2022 commitment of $1 million to the Food Bank of Delaware to reflect that the funding will be provided from the county's ARPA revenue loss election budget rather than SLFRA. I further move to authorize staff to enter into a grant agreement to make a lump sum payment of $1 million to Food Bank of Delaware after July 1st, 2023, with the requirement that the food bank provide the county with a copy of a bank statement reflecting deposit of the $1 million grant in the food bank's operating account within 30 days of receipt of the award letter. The bank statement reflecting the grant deposit will be in lieu of the 4 disbursements milestones noted in the December 6, 2022 commitment.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, Ms. Tanaka, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Item number 4, which was added earlier, Commissioner Hall's appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we wish Mr. Hall a speedy recovery. As I take this motion for him for a Board of Adjustments, he has nominated George Gallo Jr. for the Board of Adjustments.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel to nominate George Gallo Jr. to the Kent County Board of Adjustment, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Mr. George Gallo Jr. is a new member of the Kent County Board of Adjustment. Next item on the agenda falls under Commissioner Hertz. Turn it over to you, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to appoint Michael Weeks to the Community Development Advisory Committee. He brings with him experience in economic development, business law coursework, building experience with Habitat of Humanity, and the best part, he is a United States Marine.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Masson. We'll give it to her. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please, Mr. Naka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals that Mr. Michael Weeks has been nominated as newest member of the Community Development Advisory Committee. Commissioner Angel to handle the one Mr. Hall was assigned to, reimbursement policy.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Before you give us your rendition for this, we have one question, or a couple of us have one question on the last sentence of your policy for reimbursement. It comes back to levy court if it's over 1,000. We've given the administrator up to 50,000 without approval from levy court. So is there a reason why you want it to come back to us then?
Well, I was just erring on the side of caution if the board wanted to make reimbursement decisions. But certainly you could leave the last sentence off if the board is so inclined.
You want to go ahead and say anything else, sir, or you want me to just go ahead and read it into the record?
The only thing is strike the clause then for any sum up to $10,000 in the previous, so reimbursement may be authorized if you just strike that sentence out. So if we take the reference to the numbers then. But if it gets too big, I'll be coming back to the board for guidance.
Okay, in the event of a property owner incurs a direct expense related to permit approval based on clearly erroneous direction provided by a member of the Planning Service Department, the property owner may petition the Director of Planning Service for reimbursement for any sum up to $1,000. Reimbursement may be authorized based on the recommendation of the Director, proof of expense as verified by the Finance Department, and the approval of the County Administrator.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, Mr. Tanaka, we need a roll call again, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the reimbursement policy has been approved by Levy Court. And I'll ask Mr. Decker or our counsel, do we have a need for executive session tonight?
No, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Angel, we need a motion on item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to go into executive session immediately following the committee meetings of May 2nd, 2023 for preliminary discussion on site acquisition for publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining or pending or potential litigation, and personal matters pursuant to 29 Del Code 10004 B2, 4, and 9.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney to go into executive session at our next meeting, May 2nd. Second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, need a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall, absent. Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. We are now down to any commissioner have any information items. Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to welcome back Miss Diana Galt, who had a medical procedure for her. We're glad to see you're back and you're up and you're well, and thank you for informing us that you're doing well. Thank you.
Any other commissioner information? Commissioner Maston.
Just going back a little bit, earlier this evening, we voted to approve the ordinance LC 2304, the zoning ordinance, which has meant a tremendous amount of work to Mrs. Kiefer and her staff, as well as a lot of anxiety on the part of all of us commissioners and many other parties, including the Regional Planning Commission. And since I've only been chair of planning since January, I want to extend my sincerest appreciation to Mrs. Kiefer and her folks, as well as the rest of the commissioners working to get us through this so that we can move forward. So again, heartfelt thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Maston. Any other commissioners, any informational items? All right, this time in our meeting is time for public comments. Anyone in the audience who has a public comment has the opportunity to come forward and speak on it, please. Just keep in mind, this isn't a public hearing, so we won't be asking any questions. Okay. So just give your public comments. Thank you.
Okay. Zach Kleptowski, 696 Statenville Road, Harrington, Delaware. I am from Snake Creek MX, as all of you know. Just kind of in the dark to what's going on here, and was looking to hopefully find a path to move forward with this. Since the last issue of me apparently being on the dozer later than was recommended, and I'm not sure what was recommended there. I apologize in the meantime for any of that. Since then, I have came to an agreement with the neighbor who has had a problem with us, and we've come to an agreement on riding times, on days of the week that we can open, days of the weekends that we can open, and I seem to think that we have a good agreement with him, and apparently he speaks for the other neighbors that I have not seen yet in disagreement with me. They all have agreed to this, and there hasn't been any complaints that I'm aware of since March, and when we've come up with these stipulations that we've had, and which we've kind of put on ourselves and hopes that they would agree and we could, move forward with this. I'm not sure what more I can do to help show that there is more people in the neighborhood that are for this than against this. I have some of my neighbors that haven't been to any of the meetings yet that are very close to me and have finally been able to make it out. And I think they would like to speak a little bit on behalf of me and the character of me in Snake Creek, as I think we can find a way to hopefully move forward from here. And I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking to exist and continue to do what we've been doing for 30 years. This has really affected me mentally, physically. It's taken food out of my mouth, and I can't really ride at my own property and enjoy it the way it's intended and the way I've done it since '09. Just really hope that something can happen here, because I'm drowning at this point. So thank you for your time. I appreciate your consideration. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience have any public comments? Anyone else in the audience have any public comments?
Hello, my name's Wesley Smith. I live at 117 Brentford Station Road, Smyrna, Delaware, from Brentford Station, of course, right off the road there. speaking on behalf of Snake Creek, I apologize for my appearance. I just got off work about 6:30 and came straight here. Brought the family with me. Just wanted to cite some examples. I've ridden at Snake Creek for the past year. I'm 51 years old. I try to stay healthy and exercise, stay out of the bars. Spent 25 years drinking, but now I'm done with that. My wife can attest to that. We use motorcycling and going outdoors to this track as a mental health and physical benefit. My son was down for 2 years during COVID. You know, you can see these kids running rampant right now. Even at our development in Brentford Station, we have a walking path. If you guys want to pull it up or whatever, I'm sorry, I don't have any diagrams, but all the way around the neighborhood from, what's that road, the side road, honey? But anyway, I digress. But all the way to 13, there's a walking path. It's about a mile long. These kids nowadays have nowhere to go. Snake Creek is the last motorcycle track in Delaware. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know that, but it's the last place. The kids, to give you an example, yesterday I was off work, just happened to have the day off. They're using the bike path as a motocross park. They're using the roads as a motocross park. The way society works nowadays is the most views you get on YouTube or Instagram, you're getting rewarded for that. You're getting rewarded from running from the cops. You're getting rewarded for all this stuff. I grew up in an era where there were no cell phones, no computers. Kids played for 12 hours a day, you know. They're not getting that exercise now. But just want to speak on that. And then I know this is a zoning meeting, so maybe the zoning isn't right. We happen to look into, you know, what they're applying for. I happen to look into zoning codes or whatever, and there's one that says I think it was RC, recreational commercial or something like that. There's a lot of room for growth in Delaware. Obviously, they've done it with the track there, the Monster Mile there in Dover. I didn't agree to that noise when they're testing the day before or the day they're racing. I can hear it all the way in Smyrna. We don't complain because it brings business to the community and outlet. There's multiple examples. Things are changing very quickly. You got e-bicycles, e-motorcycles, e-scooters. There's e-scooters that are traveling 65 miles an hour, really. So we're trying to teach our children right. Snake Creek has its sense of community. It brings people together, brings families together. I've seen a child there with Down syndrome riding, had the biggest grin on his face. It doesn't matter, women, men, whatever. They just enjoy riding. It's an energy release. It's like a little safe haven down there. And I understand the neighbors complain, you know, about the noises and things like that. But maybe they're looking, you know, everyone looks at motorcyclists and other things as bad, you know, but there's people out there that are trying to teach their children to do the right things. So when they get on the street and they get that license and they hop on that motorcycle, they're not popping wheelies and flipping fingers to the cop for the YouTube views or the Instagrams, you know. It's sad, but we just want a safe place for our children to ride. We can watch them. Zach and the crew that runs, it's top notch. You could have, in motocross, when you get to the elite level, you go to the AMA, and it's like supercross and outdoors. You could have that here. You could literally have it here. That's how professionally they run this operation. Been to a lot of motocross tracks, been riding bikes for about 20, 30 years now. But that's all I have to say. I just want you guys to keep an open mind. Maybe you can finagle a code or a little letter here or there just to save a family or two. That the ripple effect, the actions of the few affect the many. I learned that in the military. I was a diver in the military. I was a SEAL in the military, SEAL Team Mate Charlie Platoon. But the actions of the few affect the many. So once you close this track down, boom, it's a ripple effect. All these kids are going to go to the street. They're going to the bike path. There's no repercussions for that. I've seen the Smyrna police come into my neighborhood. They don't do anything. Haven't done anything. So all the parents and everything, we just got to put our heads down and keep our mouths shut because we don't want to upset anyone. So, but give you an idea, they can close down the track for hunting season, you know? They can close down for holidays. They can close down anytime you want. Usually these operations are run during the daytime and not at night. There's an ordinance down in Bethany Beach. You can't build in the summertime. That's all because of the residential community. You have to build in the wintertime, you know, or off hours or off peak. You know, so I understand it's, again, agriculture back there. You got a bunch of trailer homes when you're going down there. It's just, I see those guys driving their lawnmowers on the road. I see them, you know, driving other things. You know, we don't say anything. It's just carry on as usual, right? But
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to make a comment?
My name is Reverend Wilson. You probably figure, well, what's a reverend here to speak good about a motorcycle event or something like this? But this, okay.
Talking to the mic.
This gentleman has been a neighbor of mine. I live at 152 Statenville Road. I've lived there since 1996. I have more problems with the chicken trucks and haulers going by my house at 40 and 50 mile an hour that is going so fast. I have watched the gentlemen and the people that come from this track. They obey the speed limits. They're courteous. They don't throw trash in my yard. They're quiet. I do hear some of the noise sometimes. I thought at first, when it first started out, was chainsaws going off, you know, cutting down timber. But they've been good neighbors. I have no complaints. And what I see when I come to Dover or when I go through the back roads and driving, I see young people with their motorcycles up in the air, riding in amongst the traffic so dangerous. And I see that if this place is hindered or closed, there's a lot of people that are not going to have a place to go. I don't know of any other venue that represents where this is around here. And so I'm support of keeping it open. My neighbors around me don't complain about this. You know, he told me that some people had complained, and I've never heard it. But the thing of it is I do appreciate seeing the courtesy that these people have when they leave. I know it's probably a dangerous sport at times, like anything else. And I have seen, you know, ambulances go to get someone that has fallen or hurt. But the thing of it is, it's run in a proper order as far as I can see. I've drove one time down there and seen it. I was amazed. I thought I was at one of the shows that you go to see motocross and things. They jump up in the air and do all kinds of crazy things. And I thought, this is great. They have a place, it's out, it's not seen by the road, it's off the road, you can't see it, and it's secluded. And the traffic is not heavy. Like I said, I have more traffic, heavy trucks coming by my house, whipping by my house. I hear more noise from the chicken farms that are located across from me, which I had no say about. In the middle of the night, sometimes I can't even open my windows because of the noise, the forklifts and other stuff. But I don't hear the noise from his track that bad. Every once in a while, I can hear it. So I'm just giving an honest opinion from an old man. I'm 72 years old, going on 73. And I hate seeing some of the changes that's happened in Delaware, and some of the changes are great. The roundabout I seen in Sussex County, they put down there by the Cheer Center. Thank God for it. The four-way stop sign that you put on Harrington Highway there, going between there, that's saving lives. I'm glad to see that. But I am hopeful that this, you know, that all of you can see the benefit, not the negativity of this, because like I said, it's not a big traffic jam when they leave, and it's not a big traffic jam when they come by. They're courteous. I have not had a problem, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Reverend Wilson. We appreciate your comments. Anyone else in the audience like to come forward? Anyone else?
My name is Courtney Kochka. I live at 836 Barney Jenkins Road, Woodside, Delaware. Thank you, commissioners, for letting us speak, even though this is not specifically Snake Creek on the agenda. But we are, many of us here, on behalf of Snake Creek as a last-ditch effort. I'm I am a retired Caesar Rodney school teacher and librarian. I'm also a part of a huge family, hundreds and hundreds of people. Those people are called your Moto family. They are people from throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, and it used to be a time in Delaware where we had 3 or 4 motocross tracks where people could get together for that. The man was right to say that Snake Creek is the only place left in the state of Delaware. And it's not even a racetrack facility, it's a practice facility. But it's all we have left. I've raised 3 racers. My son started when he was 6 years old, and he raced until the age of 20 during the time going to college. He now works for Century Engineering and is taking a break as he does his adult thing. My daughter showed horses until age 13, and she decided that she wanted to do what daddy and brother were doing. And she raced from the time she was 13 all the way through college, even working at the tracks, assisting with trophies and being on the board. My third racer is my husband, who has raced for over 30 years. It is a family sport. What Snake Creek allows is for these families and young kids to come out, have a place to learn how to ride or practice their skills if they want to go further and do actual racing. It's one of the few places that we can get that time where it isn't a race event. It's allowing you to hone your skills, practice, build stamina. We're not asking for a creation of something new here. We're asking to preserve something that's been here for over 30 years. It used to be a part of bigger community things when Diamond Motorsports held a ride program out there. They've raised money for cancer. They've had the FFA out. They try to be a real community positive program while allowing this sport. This is a different sport. It is something not everyone understands. But a lot of our people aren't team sports people. They're not your baseball player. They're not your football player. They weren't the person in high school that was on that team. Riding is kind of an individual thing. It's between you and your dirt bike. And when you learn and you progress and you get better and better, that's the success that they thrive. That's what they love. And it's not for everyone, but there is a need for it. So I guess we just ask you to kind of think about it. I know when I was here previously, one of the neighbors that had a concern actually mentioned that their family had been part of the property owners back in the day. And when they found out that the track went beyond the property boundaries, the family just deeded the extra property to them. So it wasn't a problem then. It shocks me that it's a problem now. The only difference is the property was sold to someone else. Now it doesn't belong to family, and all of a sudden it's a problem. It wasn't a problem for 30 years. So I'm kind of confused by that. I just ask you to think about the future generations of our kids, girls, boys, whatever, because they need an outlet also. And I think people have mentioned, heading out on the streets and seeing that kids have nowhere to go. Motocross and dirt bike racing is a great place for people to get together. And I know the kids that I've seen raised through motocross racing are hard workers. They know what perseverance and grit is. They have a great work ethic. Young kids can talk to adults face to face because they have that in common. And we don't find that a lot for today's kids. So just asking again, keep that in mind. Think about who you're affecting. Think about that future generation that's missing that special niche that you're not getting in your high school sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Koch. We appreciate you. Anyone else like to speak?
Yeah. I'm Mr. Spray. I live at 570 Statenville Road. Pardon for my weak voice. I'm on oxygen. We're Zach's closest, Snake Creek's closest neighbor is residential. And I have no problem with it, when the track runs at good hours for the kids to come and have fun and play. And they have some remarkable children back there doing this. And Snake Creek's been good to me. Anytime it snowed, he opened my lane up, which was a big asset for an old person. I'll be 85 this November. Got a lot of health problems, but that's here and there. But you go back there a day and a half, 2 days after they have an event, all the trash is cleaned up, the yard's re-prepared for another event. There's no trash blows around from it. And these kids, you need to come watch these children play. It is amazing. Amazing. And the lady's right. Where do these kids play with this, do this, anywhere else in our county? When we grew up, we rode horses for fun. You went to different farms, people rode horses for events and entertained their kids, taught their kids how to ride. Then bicycles come along. Then we all rode bicycles. Finally, we learned that we could jump over a log or something for fun. And times change. Times change. Now we have this motor cross track back there that is a huge asset to people raising children, to have somewhere to take them on the weekend where they can do something without going to Rehoboth and spending $1,000 for a weekend. And as soon as you get down there, it's all a money grab. Don't give a damn where you go. Everybody's got their hand out. And I think it's a well-placed track for the community. It's been there a long while. They've changed it up a little, made it a little more interesting for young children and young men to come play. A lot of them are 50-year-old men. They still think they're teenagers, but that's all right. But they have fun. They don't drink beer back there. I've never seen any alcohol on the premises. Only one time I've seen an ambulance go in and a kid turned his bike over him and broke his wrist. That's all the time I've lived next door to him. That's the only time I know of an accident that required the ambulance to come. And he probably could have left there and went to the emergency room without the ambulance, but it was the right thing to do, you know, make sure he wasn't hurt worse. But I don't have a problem with it. And I live as close to it as closer than anybody. You can hear it outside, I'll admit that. But, you know, if we want to go in the house, you don't hear it. Wintertime, you got the windows closed. Summertime, you got them closed for the air conditioner. It's a big asset for these children. There's just nowhere else for them to play that they don't get in trouble for it. Then they want to ride it on the trail the lady was talking about, around town or around development, and they're going to do it because that's the only place to do it. And we've all done those kind of things when we were young because there wasn't a place to do it. We used to ride bikes up and down the road. First, it wasn't no problem. Then it's, you got to have a bike trail now to ride on. Well, I understand that because traffic's so heavy. But this is off the main road. The traffic is respectful when they leave. They're respectful when they come. They don't bunch up. It's a kind of a little process of stretching out people coming in. And like I say, they clean up nice. It's good looking little track. It's not fancy. They ain't got a whole great big bit of bleachers. People come to pickups and vans, put a little tent up, make some shade at the tailgate. They barbecue and cook and have things to drink and eat. Sometimes there'll be a band come, play a little music. So I think it's good entertainment and clean entertainment for the children and for anybody who wants to go. That's about all I can say. I can't say anything negative about it. I really can't. This is my wife. She'd like to say something. They're good people.
I'm Barbara Spray. I'm his wife. He's practically said everything that can be said, but as far as noise and bothering people, they never start before 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're always gone by 4:30 in the afternoon. And to me, it's a very good place for kids to be. It's better than them being out in the street and causing accidents and stuff like that when they're trying to ride. And I think Judge Zach needs a chance here to continue his business and be there to help these young kids.
And keep these kids off the road in places they shouldn't be, where it is dangerous. Because as you all well know, that's where they wind up, out on the damn roads. You don't give them somewhere to ride. Get hurt, or automobile accident, kid makes a mistake, somebody else runs into him, hurts him, that person's in a big lawsuit, all because he didn't have somewhere to go. It's that simple.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming in tonight, waiting around. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Barnhart of 37 Apple Blossom Lane. Prior service military. I came to Delaware about 15 years ago. There were a few good tracks here, and I brought with me my love for motorcycles, and slowly I've watched all the tracks get shut down except for Snake Creek. I can tell you that I got volunteered at a church. I just came from coaching a Pee-wee baseball team, but my heart is with this motocross community. Like it is something special, and it is something deep, and this is the heart of it in Delaware. Like I can attest that people are watching also. See, I'm from upstate New York, and every winter was my favorite because all my upstate New York motocross friends would come down and ride Delaware because it was a couple degrees warmer, and everybody would love to drive 4 or 5 hours and ride the prestigious Snake Creek or even Blue Diamond or another track called Speed City, but now it's just Snake Creek. And sadly, it's almost not Snake Creek. Like people are watching, everybody's getting discouraged, and I don't know how to relay like the heart and the presence and what it actually is. Like there's a love for motorsports. Like there's a community that that you really can't really describe until you're in it. And it does, it catches your heart, and people watch it and people share it. And like these guys are like family. We're all like family. And without a place to ride and to exercise our skill and practice and share our love for motorcycles, like it's discouraging. And I don't know what we can do to make it not like so. We just want it acceptable. You know, we want to legitimize a place to ride, and whatever you guys can do to help us with that would be much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Barnhart. We appreciate you coming in.
My name's Chris Vendetti. I live at 696 Statenville Road. I actually live on the property. I kind of just moved in not too long ago, about a year or so. What brought me there was the track and the essence of being around, like it's all like family up here. I'm from South Carolina, and everyone there is very racy, very cutthroat. Here, it's just family. We're just family going out and riding and having fun. No one's racing. No one's being obnoxious. No one's trying to force the issue or anything like that. Everyone just comes. We start riding at 10 o'clock. 4 o'clock comes around. We pull everyone off the track, load up, and go home. And if we were having like a doubleheader weekend, a Saturday, Sunday, we may get on the equipment, but we can follow where we're off the equipment at 7:30. 7:30, equipment shuts off. There's a lot of conditions that we could abide by as long as they're written up. We don't have any rules set by, and according to the agricultural law, you're allowed to be on a piece of equipment till 11 p.m. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. So really, we're not breaking a law if we're on equipment until 11 p.m., but we don't want to do that to our neighbors. We actually want to be neighborly, as I've heard, being neighborly just to make peace with the neighborhood. And it's just giving this place to, like everyone said, you know, the families. And I'm there every day during the week, and we don't ride during the week, really. But if we do, we can also abide by weekday rules. We could go, okay, well, on a weekday, we can shut off at 3 o'clock if we were to operate on a weekday. And if it is a weekday, it's only going to be 2 or 3 people. It could be a father and a son that just want to come because they have the day off work or the kid has a day off school. I feel like we could follow any conditions pretty much that is given to us that our neighbors can agree with, as long as they're not too ridiculous. We've also fixed a lot of the sediment problem. We have planted grass. I have planted, I've probably spread 500 pounds of bag seed, of grass seed with a spreader in the last month, just trying to get grass grow. It's spring, it's starting to come up, grass is growing. We've taken care of a lot of the issues. With that being said, we've also been very courteous when, say, like I could ride because I live on the property. I haven't been riding at all. I've ridden 1 or 2 days in a month, and it was really quiet, just me going out, kind of messing around, and that was it. And I've had a couple friends that came over, and there was no complaints. Nothing whatsoever for quite a while. I think the only complaint there has been was with Zach on the dozer, which at late at night, which again, we don't have rules to set by. That wasn't a law that was broken. And if we have rules, we will be sure to follow them. So just keep that in mind. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Vendetti. Appreciate you coming in tonight. Anyone else? Anyone else like to say a few words? If not,
hello. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Catherine Smith, and I'm a resident of Kent County. I live in Smyrna, Delaware, off Brentford Road. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity for the citizens of this county to present our comments regarding this Snake Creek property and listening to us with the public comment. I personally do not ride a motorcycle or dirt bike, but my family members are riders and are part of the Snake Creek community. The dirt bike track and its riders truly are a community. It provides a safe place for children and adults to enjoy riding their bikes, to talking, sharing life experiences, learning, communicating with one another, and connecting in the community with their recreational passion. It creates a sense of place and belonging. Kent County, we're doing a fantastic job of approving expansion of housing and projects and responding to the market conditions, enticing people to move here from various locations. You continue to expand housing and benefiting from additional taxes and migration of new residents coming to the county. But we have to think about these resources that we're providing, not only for the new residents, but existing residents, to deal with this continual increase of population, and especially those interested in bike riding. No track exists in the state of Delaware. In my neighborhood, even today, when I was leaving work and coming home from Dover on northbound 13, there was an adult in the 3 lanes and the far right-hand lane. And I thought, wow, if you could use your phone while you're driving, I wanted so badly if I had a camera to capture this on camera. I see it daily. People in the neighborhood riding the dirt bikes fast and dangerously, going down the main roads, the path, the walking path, where it interferes with children, seniors, adults that are pushing their children in strollers. The complaints are going to start flooding in. It's really dominating in our neighborhood. There is a market in Kent County, and I think the sentiment that was spoken earlier, you can see the strong advocacy for this community and a need for this resource in the county. The market has spoken. There's folks that really support this and need this, not only physically, mentally, but it helps economically. I know it, they patronize the stores, they, eat in the restaurants when they're coming down here. I know my boys will always stop in Camden at the restaurants there near the Walmart. I've only heard of one resident complaint, and I'm not sure how many. Is it one complaint? What is the number of residents? Has there been a assessment of the noise levels? When I looked at the zoning code, the ambient noise level was 10 decibels. Has there any kind of assessment been done?
Yes. Yeah, we did an assessment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we were actually 10.2 at the property line with the wind blowing that way. So we were pretty much within. And that could be just one person who had a loud exhaust.
Wow.
Again, if we have codes to follow and we have to follow certain things.
And what I saw in the code is the decibel level has to increase by 5 decibels to register for that complaint. So that's within
15 dB and he's registering
10.2.
We're not close to anyone besides the whole.
Last, given the vast degree of community support and the stated need for the community facility as a resource within Kent County, I just asked as a resident and a mother and a wife and supporting this motorsport to please work to find a compromise with the Snake Creek community and see what can be done. There's always room for negotiation, especially when you have advocacy from a viable market that wants this in the community. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Thank you for hanging around throughout the meeting. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing no further public comments, any commissioner comments? Commissioner comments? Seeing none, need a motion to adjourn?
So move, Mr. President.
Second?
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Maston. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.